Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're in the kitchen again today, but I am not baking. Instead, I'm going to answer a question that more than one person has actually asked me. I've been asked, what do you do if you don't have any eggs? Okay, there's a variety of reasons why you might need something to substitute for eggs. You might be vegan. Maybe you have someone with an egg allergy. We, in fact, do have someone in the family with an egg allergy, so sometimes I have to forego the egg. Maybe you just ran out of eggs and you can't get to the store today. Or maybe, just maybe, your dang chickens stopped laying because it's freakishly cold this week. The point is there's a dozen reasons why you might need to substitute and not use an egg in your recipe. So what can you use instead of an egg? Well, we have to remember what eggs do in baking. Now, eggs are there partially for texture, but partially to bind all the ingredients together. If you've ever tried making a cake and just leaving the eggs out, you'll notice it's really crumbly and it doesn't stay together. So if you need egg in your recipe, then probably you have to substitute with something. You can't just leave it out. I'm not talking about glazing things. So if I'm glazing buns and I don't have an egg, I can just glaze with something else. I can glaze with milk, I can glaze with butter, it's fine. But for actually in a recipe, you do have to substitute it. So what can you use instead of this darn egg? Well, you have a few options. One of them, baking soda and vinegar. Okay, that's really, it works. You're going to have quite the reaction. You put them together, you let them sit till the reaction stops, give them a quick whir in some kind of blender. For blenders, I am going to recommend getting a magic bullet. This helps whir all these things together when you need to make an egg substitute. It is much easier than a large blender. First of all, it's smaller in size, it's really easy to use, and they're pretty inexpensive. I'll put a link to one in the description. That's what I recommend for mixing all of these things, by the way. So whenever I say blend it together, I mean the magic bullet. So baking soda and vinegar. You do 1 teaspoon of the baking soda and 1 tablespoon of the vinegar. Let those sit, whir them up in your magic bullet after you have let the reaction settle, and there, that can be your egg substitute. But there are other options as well. One of the most popular that you see, flaxseed. Okay, you take about a tablespoon of flaxseed and soak it in 3 tablespoons of water. Leave it for about 20 to 30 minutes. Now, you've probably seen this particular replacement a lot online, but sometimes what they forget to tell you is that you need to mix it. You need to blend it because these seeds, yeah, they'll soften, but they're still kind of chunky. So if you want it more egg-like texture, you've got to throw it in your blender, in this case my magic bullet, whir it around, and let it become it'll become the consistency of eggs, really, once you whir it around. Okay, that's good. You can do the same thing with chia seeds. Again, 1 tablespoon of seeds to 3 tablespoons of water. Let it soak, whir it up, no problem. You've probably also heard of using banana. I don't have a banana today because my son ate all the bananas. So I don't have any banana. But you can use about 4 tablespoons of mashed banana if your son didn't eat all the bananas. Alternatively, you can use about 4 tablespoons of applesauce. That works too. I have applesauce because apparently nobody likes applesauce anymore. So I don't have any bananas, but I have lots of applesauce. So either 4 tablespoons of mashed banana or 4 tablespoons of applesauce. You can also use 1 tablespoon of chickpea flour. Okay, that's what this is. This is chickpea flour. So you can add 1 tablespoon of chickpea flour to 3 tablespoons of water. Let that soak for a minute. Whirl it around in your magic bullet. That will also allow you to substitute out your egg. You can also use, you've probably seen this one, if you have chickpeas in a can, you can use the liquid that's in those chickpeas. That'll really have the consistency and do the same job in your recipe as eggs. Really, the liquid in a can of any legume, you can use that. So it doesn't have to be chickpeas. Chickpeas is the most common because it's really flavor neutral. So I recommend using the chickpea liquid if you have it to substitute for eggs, but I don't recommend other legumes even though it does the same job because it's not as flavor neutral. So chickpea flour or the liquid from a can of chickpeas. Or if you have been making dried chickpeas, you can use that liquid. If you've been simmering them, you can use the liquid that you simmered them in again. And it's about 3 tablespoons is what you want out of the liquids. That works pretty well. You can also use oats. In here I have 2 tablespoons of oats. Soak these in 3 tablespoons of boiling water. Let that soak for about 20 minutes and then again whir it up in your magic bullet. It does need to be whirred up because these won't break up in water even if it's boiling. So let it soak for about 20 to 30 minutes. 2 tablespoons of oats into 3 tablespoons of water. Whir it up, you're good to go. Greek yogurt works. Greek yogurt, about 4 tablespoons of Greek yogurt works really well. You don't have to whir that one up because it's already pretty smooth. If you don't have Greek yogurt, maybe you have silken tofu in your fridge. You can whir that up real quick in your magic bullet and use that. So you might have, I have silken tofu in my fridge usually. Not everybody does, but if you do, you can use it for an egg. The other thing you can use is cornstarch, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. You can throw that into 3 tablespoons of water, whir it up in your magic bullet, and use that as well. So there are a lot of options, a lot of things you can do to substitute for an egg. Obviously, there are egg substitutes that you can buy at the store, but often if you've run out of eggs, you probably don't have egg substitute or you wouldn't be asking what I substitute it with. And if you have an egg allergy or someone who's vegan, those might not work either because not all of them are free of eggs completely. So that's fine. These are many options that you can use to substitute for eggs. You probably have at least one of them in your cupboard. They're all pretty flavor neutral, so they do go well in pretty much any recipe. You just have to pick the one you have, first of all, and pick the one that works for you. There's a lot of choices, so if you run out of eggs, you can substitute. I usually just stand around yelling at my chickens. That doesn't help, but it makes me feel better. So that's about it for us here at Andersen Acres. Hopefully you found this video helpful and informative. I will link to the magic bullet in case you need one. It's good to have in case you do have to whip up some egg substitute. But that's about it for us here today, and we will see you tomorrow.